sites that he mapped around the world, it would be an absolutely huge service. Either way, until that day comes, we will just have to watch each of his videos and, re-add them to an overall archive. And welcome, Sean, Gerald. Good to have you both with us.
Morning.
Yo.
Good morning to ya.
Hey, thought we'd go back to ancient America. I wasn't really planning on doing a video today, but didn't really have any plans and kind of getting on my brother's nerves. He told me to go in my room and make a video. So I think I will. Let's go down to the Kincaid Mounds in southern Illinois. I made a video on this place about 3 years ago. But all I've learned on ancient America, well, this place was very important. It was contemporary with Cahokia. But this is one of those places that is just kind of lost and lonely and just sitting out there. But here you can see the mounds at the site. This was a pretty impressive ancient city, as I said, around the same time as Cahokia. But there is no park here, no way to really visit the mounds except park on this road out here and overlook them from a distance. And that's kind of sad. Some of the cities in the area, there's a metropolis, really. Brookport, High Point, Paducah, Farley, Ledbetter. Those are a few of the cities in this general area here. I'm wondering if any of my subs have ever been to this site. It appears to be fairly lonely and quiet. This is about 140 miles east of Cahokia. And obviously, when the Google Earth imagery was taken, there was a lot of flooding going down in this area. And maybe some of you who live in the area can tell me if this is an annual event, all this flooding out here. These mounds were excavated about 1934. And even on this mound today on Google Earth, you can even tell where the excavations took place. You can see how that mound right there was carved into right there. But makes you wonder if they had flooding back then and how often it happened. But these mounds have obviously withstood many, many floods, and they still stand out there today, and just gives credit to the people who built them. These aren't just mounds of dirt, clay, gravel, other things. They were painted in some cases. Sometimes they had stairways, but when this is all, the better we can treat them. You wonder why the apathy towards ancient American history. But that's why I make these videos, just let people know that there's places out there that exist. But this is the look from overhead at this ancient city. Maybe 1,000 years old, maybe started a little earlier than that. But here is a diagram of what this place used to look like. Places where people lived, a big wall all the way around it, as many as 9 mounds, and some of them pretty darn large. And even people who are curious about these ancient America sites, is this one place where people would actually stop? That's another reason why I make these videos, just so people have an idea of what they look like, and maybe they would stop at these. But would people tour these if this was an open park? But we can certainly let our mind wander what this place used to look like and what the people were doing who occupied this site. Here is another artist rendition of what this place might have looked like. Now, I was looking for any news stories on the Kincaid Mounds, and I found this one from Heritage Daily. This came out a little earlier this year. The Kincaid Mounds, the mound metropolis of Illinois, says the Kincaid Mounds is an ancient tribal center of the Mississippian culture that built a large settlement comprising of raised mounds in the present-day state of Illinois near the banks of the Ohio River. The Mississippian culture was a Native American civilization that emerged around 800 AD in the Midwestern, Eastern, and Southeastern regions of America. The civilization was composed of a series of urban settlements linked together by loose trading networks, with the most notable site being the city of Cahokia. So this place seemed to be linked to Cahokia through trade and other things. It says the area around the Kincaid's Mounds was first occupied during the Archaic period between 8000 to 2000 BC, where the region was probably inhabited by cultures of the early woodland. The founding of the Kincaid's Mound is determined to be about 800 AD, although some sources suggest around 1050 AD. But here are some pics on the ground at the Kincaid Mounds, what they look like on the ground. Not much to be seen, just grass-covered mounds. Certainly looked entirely a lot different in antiquity. It says Kincaid likely served as a trade link between native settlements in the Cumberland, Tennessee river valleys and the metropolis of Cahokia. in which influences of the Cahokian culture is evident in the Kincaid shell-tempered ceramics. Just reading a little more, it seems a few more mounds have been discovered here since I did the video 3 years ago, and they said 9 or 10 mounds existed. But just reading, it says the society revolved around a complex chiefdom structure led by a male chief and his family who exerted civil control over the community, and priests who had religious authority, probably some shaman-type figures. The major construction phase took place in what is known as the Kincaid Middle Component, and that is called the Classic Mississippian Period, in which 19 mound monuments were constructed, with 11 being identified as substructure platform mounds, in addition to a large plaza situated near the nucleus of the settlement. The entire site was surrounded by a large palisade wall of upright logs or posts, with a series of guardhouses or bastions at the intervals of about 100 feet. The palisade may have served as a defensive purpose, but it has also been suggested that it functioned to mark the boundary of the ceremonial site and the seat of the chiefdom's authority. But that is the way it looks from overhead today. Maybe remnants of that wall right there. This is the way artists think it looked a long time ago. Now, I will leave a few links below, but here is the visiting area at the mound site today, where you can go and overlook these from a distance. There is another look at the mounds, but just finishing this one article, it says the Mississippian culture occupation at the site appears to have ended by 1400 to 1450, possibly due to the exhaustion of local resources such as timber and game, a period which archaeologists call the vacant quarter. There's other possibilities, I guess. Maybe disease being introduced into the area is one other possibility, but by about 500 years ago, these people seem to be gone. Now, here is one story, and I've read a few like this. Prehistoric mound, disturbed, possibly looted. But if you don't have a park, you don't have security here, obviously we're going to have some problems like this. Can't we treat our ancient American history just a little bit better? That's all I'm asking. That is a quickie on the Kincaid mounds here in southern Illinois, center of ancient chiefdom. This seemed to be a very important place about 1,000 years ago in ancient America. Probably these people were trading with Cahokia and also places to the east. Ancient America was one big trade network based on the riverways. You have stuff in Florida from the Great Lakes region. You have stuff at mound sites in Indiana and Illinois from Wyoming. I mean, it's really remarkable how the goods were traded all over ancient America 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. It's a pretty amazing story, and I'm still looking into it. Thought I would talk about that one today. I don't think I made a video on ancient America in about 3 weeks. Some of these sites, I realize, are very important after all the videos I've made on this subject. Well, as I said with NEXT in our interview Friday night, some of these places in ancient America, and really ancient America itself, is kind of neglected as far as the importance in ancient history, but we have these pyramid mounds all over ancient America. Some of these sites are just kind of sitting out there lonely, just trying to make it, not quite so. Hope you thought that was cool, and you all have a very nice day.
And I'm back. There we go. Okay. And what did everybody think of that one? They're all over the world, all over our local sites in North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, wherever you go. They are everywhere. All right. So we have Gerald, we have Sean. What are your guys' thoughts on megaliths around your local terrain, your local stomping grounds?
Those stones coming out of the ground, they're called kettles. And there's a place near where I live called Kettle Point, and it was that's where like all these kettles come out of the ground, and like it's all around the beach lines. And they claim that there was only one other place in the world that did that, and that was somewhere either New Zealand or Australia. I didn't realize you guys had kettles up there too.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, and they have this weird Like they all try to push their way up to the surface. It's a fascinating thing, and they're spherical, and I don't know, it just makes you wonder if they're more.
Right? Like they've got to be. I suspect a lot of it was like plasma catastrophe, sort of like wiped it out, or what destroyed it, or maybe even it was an epoch after they were wiped out, and then there was this some sort of mass plasma heat like event. Like a lot of the pretty much anything that is labeled badlands in North America is usually a national park or a no-go zone, and that they all have these like what are called fairy chimneys or hoodoos, as well as mounds, pyramids, and then in the mountains you have these megaliths, dolmens, and this is right here is another one of the polygonal geopolymer walls of Montana. And there's identical stuff across Siberia as well on the same tightness scale. Oh, welcome, William.
Greetings, everyone.
A good day.
Yeah, I'm here, man.
I thought for sure Simon was going to pop on.
Right. Sorry about that. I think he's still we're figuring out the sound and video. If B and Gerald, are you with us, good sir? Well, why is
He must be
this
squirreled away. I found a really good electroculture guy that from Quebec, and he has his own YouTube channel. I don't know if you know about him. I think his name is. It starts with a Y. Oh, darn! I wish I could just find it right this second.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about, but half of it is in French.
Yeah, Yannick. Yeah, but on his channel he does full English. You sure some of his pictures.
Yannick, he's awesome.
Yeah,
There we
he was
go.
teaching how to like charge water and
back in
stuff.
the conversation.
Sorry about that. I had to step out really quick.
I just had to jumpstart his heart there, you know.
And
anyways,
shout out Astra Mindful Exposures, who I am just sending the email to, as well as New West Reset.
I found somebody. Sorry, Brian.
Sarah Mindful Exposures made this masterpiece of a logo for Dutch Sense, and it's so epic. But he's having internet issues and connectivity. I sent it to him. I hope he gets it, because I know he will love it and it shall lift his spirits. And shout out to Julia, Julia, who is currently down as one of the hosts of Contact in the Desert right now. And she also does the Biomed Expo and the Alien event, which I'm going to try to be a part of, as Rex is also there, as is Sam Osmanovich. And I got to get to Sam so that I can show him not that, but this right here, the Faram Foundation, because I have yet to ever hear him talk about, see, or know about the geoglyphology of his site, and it's a whole nother verification of the Bosnian pyramids being intelligent, constructed, advanced pyramids. And they are in fact built into the geoglyphology mapping system of these ancient megalithic pyramid builders. And Arthur Faram, all on his own, shows that both the walls, the same lengths and measurements applied to his radial geoglyph system, plots out to the specific points of these ancient sites. and that he then discovered in Central America that there was this catastrophism sunken landmass because some geoglyphs were located from the pyramid, the initial pyramid, which he dates to at least 30,000, or sorry, 24,000 years ago, due to the fact that of when sites appear and disappear in the geoglyphology mapping and building of all the other corresponding sites around the world, and the more recent updated geoglyphs, and that when you add in the 4 cardinal points of the pyramid, you then get the Bay of Nazarenes. The southern border of Russia still today is built into one of the cardinal points, Gotland Island, and down to Africa's site of many geoglyphs in Cape Town, South Africa, on it. And that stage 2, the moon and the earth pyramids, that also their angles and lengths of them, and then he shows that it's damaged by something, but add to even more specific spots, like another current border marker of Russia and I guess Ukraine there, which, you know, they're having the war over, as well as directly to Moscow, also built into it, Jerusalem, Tunisia, north tip of Africa, tip of Portugal. And that then also, when you add in the triangulation of the 3 pyramids and how they were built, oh, welcome, Simon, that also adds another 6 points and new spots as well to these specific spots, including the Strait of Gibraltar, north tip of Ireland, and Port Said, Tunis. So many ridiculous places, I think. Yeah, also St. Petersburg or Kaliningrad, one of the other. No, the Kaliningrad's there. So yeah, St. Petersburg there. And yeah, it's just absolutely insane how many specific geographical places of power and ancient civilization cities and points are built into this mapping grid of these ancient pyramid sites, and that it's undeniable evidence of highly advanced engineering and mapping of the overall world system and of the existence of these highly advanced places and civilizations and points of civilization through tens of thousands of years and into the pre-cataclysm, prior ice age timeline. And that what the point being of these Moscow borders and these current borders of Russia built into that pyramid, that old Moscow city itself, a citadel city, a star fort city, also has the geoglyphology built into the streets, and the center square point being the radials out of those geoglyphs, and that the Moscow city geoglyphs actually map out current Russian borders, as well as some boundaries between Finland and Norway and Sweden there. And then to top it all off, there was updated Bastion Fort, aka Star Fort, forts built on top of the pyramids themselves, and that these are called colonial era bastion forts, but in fact they also have the geoglyphology science and mapping built into their archaeology and their lengths, their measurements, their walls, and all the positioning of them. And that's what this big center circle is where you're measuring out from. and that it shows the more recent last civilization using and applying this same hidden, suppressed worldwide mapping system, and that here is another one of the bastion forts, the ruins of it still being able to show the geoglyphs on top of the moon pyramid, and it as well showing a whole bunch of new sites, but still the same sites, and that in both the old pyramid walls as well as the newer bastion forts, it gives you this mapped territory right here, which is pretty much the current European Union state, and also what Nazi Germany was trying to conquer at the height of World War II, as well as what they see Ukraine in it, and that I guess the USSR had taken parts of that. And what is that? That's the old Tartarian Empire, and that's once again Europe 30,000 years ago was a different territorial empire than Tartaria and the rest of the Middle East as well as Africa, and that they're still fighting for these same spots today. And this right here is one of the pyramid radials, goes exactly to this Russian-European border marking, and that looks ancient as heck, and it definitely is. And well, that's pretty ancient.
Just to highlight how difficult it is to align things over such long distances, just look at the US-Canada border. Because hypothetically, it's supposed to be straight lines for a long bit of it, but it really is not. And it's really easy, you can tell on Google Maps, because they cut all the trees along this border. And so there's this giant no-touching zone between the two countries. It's kind of amazing. You can
right?
See
and that, and I know it's.
And you know what? All these connections.
We can't even do this stuff today. It's chemistry, the Chemister. What up, Shem? Tartarian Truth. Oh yeah, shoot! I still have to finish sending out that email, and I will also send invite to you, good Shem.
Can you hear me?
Join. Yes, we can.
Loud and clear.
My mic's acting up, so I was just gonna say all the connections between all these different ancient sites. They all come down to kind of like an electroculture sense, where they brought that electricity down from the stratosphere through pyramids or through star forts, and they brought it and grounded it, and it allowed all the plants to have that energy coming in and completing the circuit. So it makes you wonder, when they talk about the Garden of Eden, was it the Garden of Eden or was it the Garden of the Eden? Just a thought.
Yes, just like Egypt was gypped out of the energy when they took the ark, or Moses, left with one
of the arks. I don't think it was the one that
it's
I
the
did
perfect
some research
measurements
upon saying that a while back in Alive.
It Hutchinson remade it, and it was the perfect fit for inside the king's chamber, supposedly.
Absolutely, it was a ark, but there's more
than ark. Yes. But I'm saying Egypt, the pyramids, they got gypped. They were stolen of the energy that used to power it.
Yeah, Moses, or from what
sorry for interrupting. Back
that
to
Moses
your
took it out of the pyramid
den and the energy den.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought by far. So I don't know if it was the actual density. What's that?
You could say den as in density.
Ooh,
the energy density
in the center. Interesting. Or you could even break it up a little further and go guard N the E den. So you're guarding the E.
Now we're getting into the real etymology of it all, and I did send the invite to Paul Knight, What the Flock TV. Shout out to him and anyone that is into etymology and the spell casting that spelling is when you write your spells and manifest it into existence, you got to check out What the Flock TV.
So what do you guys think about Eden being in Florida?
don't really subscribe to that. I believe that it was like Eden everywhere essentially at one point, and that like the Atlantis was like everywhere sort of thing at one point.
It was a system.
Eden might, I would suspect, if anything, in Eden might be like an off planet or in planet or intra-dimensional plane sort of thing, as opposed to a Floridian spot per se.
I've seen some very interesting architecture that's in Florida, but I don't know. I keep thinking to South America where everything is super overgrown. You know, and we do know that they have pyramids down
overgrown pyramid cities everywhere.
And so, like, now they're using ground penetrating radar and flying over, and just like between the leaves of the trees, they get just enough data of what's down below there that they can see cities that are just completely covered. So we should really be going out there, you know, on expeditions and searching, you know, on our hands and feet, you know, looking for all these lost civilizations, because how much are we missing out on?
Wasn't there another place up in I think it was the Himalayan mountain? No, was it the Himalayas? I can't remember where this place was. I'd have to look at my research, but they claimed to find Eden there, and it was a spot where nobody is allowed to go, and the two scientists that went there to study it had to commission to the government for years before they actually opened it up for them to go. And when they went there, they found species of birds and plants that haven't been seen in over 2,000 years. It might even have been somewhere in Venezuela. I'm not sure. Like I said, I have to check the research, but it was very interesting because there were lions that were there, and they were lying down with animals that normally they'd eat, and it was a very interesting place. So I'll get back to you on where that was, but who really knows where it was? It's definitely an interesting thought.
If you go out into the middle of nowhere, like even here in Canada, if you go up north to where everything's on fire right now, you're going to find all sorts of animals that like we don't even know exist, most likely. So the people who are lighting fires, and you know who you are monsters.
Have you heard about?
They should hang or like burn at the stake if anyone were to ever deserve it. Like just all the poor wildlife and like
definitely burn.
They should burn in that fire.
Like,
definitely burn at the stake. Poetic.
Like, and if the penalties were, if you're caught lighting these fires, that you would be burnt at the stake, I guarantee a lot less people would intentionally start those fires, or they'd at least think about it twice.
Yeah, they light the fire, they go in that fire.
Yep.
Right?
But did you watch Dutch Sense's
yes,
half-hour-long video on how Quebec started on fire basically within 60 seconds?
Yeah, and do you know how fucking beautiful that entire area is? I've been up there. It is gorgeous.
Not anymore.
Burning it is a crime.
See, now here's the thing. Was somebody burning it, or is it the actually North American craton that's shifting and starting fires from below?
Speak of the devil, eh? I already retweeted that on both my tweeters, or on all three of my tweeters.
Yeah,
I've heard
he does something on it too.
I heard of like cases where like a safety chain, like from a trailer, would just drive along and create sparks and just create a huge fire all the way along.
Yeah, but this was over a whole province, and the fires lit almost instantaneously over the whole line where the North American craton is.
And up there is basically all rivers and lakes. Like I'm talking entirely covered. You have never seen so many lakes in your life.
Yeah, no doubt. Which makes me wonder, like, could somebody actually put together multiple groups of people in order to light these fires all at once?
I'm
Absolutely.
guessing that's the actual case. I honestly
Mhm.
believe so, especially the ones that started in northern Alberta.
Those I
about a
think were
month
started by
ago.
people.
They
Yeah.
all popped up like overnight, and it was like documented that they were TikTok. It's all documented on TikTok. All the locals documented it, showed like that they were actually like apprehended a couple of people, and then they like didn't get charged or something, and like the police somehow like I don't know what the heck. It was effed up. And then all of the local people tried to like get their own machinery, donate it, and get it in to fight the fires and put it out the first 2 days before it spread. And then the government and the police blocked them from doing it and tried arresting the people that were trying to fight the fires. And it was absolute insanity. And you won't see that on the mainstream or the mainstream media. You got to go over to the foreign Eastern sponsored social media platforms to be able to actually see what's anything political. So I'm not going to get into it any further here.
Well, I know
Right.
about the Alberta situation, but this is different. You know how many people would take to do that all at once? You're talking
The
hundreds.
government agents, if
Military.
it's a government,
Yeah.
Not with drones.
MK
No.
Ultra drones,
What you
yeah,
guys haven't mentioned, DEW,
or do
directed
yeah,
energy weapons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's also
that's
a
all-
possibility.
Right. If you look at what happened in California, they literally wiped out cars. Cars were melted. Houses were melted.
and
But the
trees are
trees
fine.
around them are still standing.
Yeah, I've seen that. There was lots of evidence of it.
Yeah. So to me, I agree with Bernie. You know, this is governmental. This is all by design. Now, instead of damming up rivers and burying cities under lakes, they're now going and burning down areas and regions and entire regions. And with directed energy weapons, yeah, they could do a whole province all at once. It wouldn't take an army. It takes one person hitting a keyboard.
You got a good point.
This is all by design. Everything we've seen over the last 3 years has been by design, you know, and then they blew up the guide stones, right? Which were showing the indicators of what was really going on. They want our population down to 500 million by 2030.
My Freemason contact said that was the beginning of the stopwatch. That was the
Countdown.
the firing of the gun for the beginning of the race. They're all in their positions and they're all now moving forward because the guide stones are destroyed. It's
Right.
it's a way of getting that message out, eh?
Yeah. That was like the mile marker. Here we go.
So do you think they fight over which game piece they get? Like, oh, I want the race car. Oh, no, you get the thimble.
Now they're all loyal to the dog.
Yeah, I don't think they're in fighting. I think it's all one unified front.
Just kidding. Yeah. And
Did you guys ever see that one news video where this police officer, where he had his dash cam going, and then he caught someone with like a big ball of like a paper towel that was on fire, and he was throwing it, like trying to start these fires?
I
Like,
saw
I-
a case of
The gas
Molotov.
can that got caught.
No. Like, this was during the wildfires in like Europe, and like they caught, like, the cop came up on the guy and he saw his dash cam, and he had a ball of like paper towel that was on fire, and he was throwing it, like,
Wow, I
creating the
didn't see
fire.
Good day, sister from down under.
Like, so like, I honestly do believe that there could be some sort of destabilizing government
Well,
you know,
and
people
I
group.
should point out the video we're watching
They're
of
good.
Dutch is he kind of shows that they're all along this craton rim and whatnot. So it could actually be like a geothermal event that could be triggering the fires potentially as well.
It could
Is
also
what
be
he
it's triggering the
Or
geothermal.
like when earthquakes, like if there's like a shifting or something, like is it like on a tectonic plate line? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's on a huge
Yes.
tectonic plate line. The whole
So
craton.
maybe it's creating that energy friction. You know, like when they claim that like light and energy and lightning can come out of the ground.
Yeah, right before an
Plasma.
earthquake.
Yeah,
What do
like
you call it?
maybe
Earthquake?
that's going on there, and then creating those fires.
And maybe dew is the thing that set off the whole craton moving. Who knows?
Well, if it's that long of a stretch, you're kind of right. Maybe it is a natural phenomenon.
It could be both, also. Like, because
Yeah.
I've seen enough
Either
evidence of
way,
people
it is
doing
a major problem that, like, there's documented arson on some of, like, on many of the cases, and then possible lots of it's natural too. Whatever the causes may be, it is absolutely horrible because we haven't even reached. It's still 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks to wait. 2.5 weeks from the summer solstice in the beginning of summer. It's still spring. June just started, and half of the continent is on fire, and like it's smoky and hazy everywhere, hard breathing,
the cold half.
like
Get your
exactly
charcoal
like
filters.
wait till August. Like it's scary. Pray for rain. We gotta do the rain dance and the rain, the resonant frequency of rain, and just pump it into the clouds. They do cloud seeding in chemtrails. Well, F that shit. Let's pump our own frequencies in and make it rain, because we know that it actually works. Like,
Right. Just don't do it in California. They have plenty of rain.
well, we should have them set up everywhere, and
Right,
anytime there's a drought, just blast it up and make it rain.
Literally,
That's real technology.
Manga.
Taryn, Earthling, can you pull up the patent for that? I'm sure I've seen that in the Google Drive.
Yeah, their first cloud seeding patent. You talking about?
Like the one where it's like the World War I style of like blasting with like sound waves from the ground. Like the vortex cannons that.
Sound
I
cannon.
don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a sound
to be
cannon.
completely honest.
Okay, well, we will.
Yeah,
I know of its
yeah,
existence.
I can show you the space charge.
Well, yeah, you've got the more advanced ways.
There's a way we
can
can move clouds around with satellites and flying craft.
All right, we're talking about the average folk, not what the government's doing. We know what they're doing now.
No,
Yeah. We want to go out with Orgonite and set up electroculture everywhere, because the more we do electroculture gardens, the more we spread Orgonite everywhere, we can contradict what they're doing to us. I mean, was a electroculture. I'm trying to think of his name. Anyway, he was showing an area right above his electroculture garden where the clouds were clear, and all around that area there were clouds.
What?
And they were obviously channel clouds.
Absolutely, yep. It's the same principle as the pyramids.
Right. So if we're creating an energy vortex ourselves, right, we can counteract what they're doing to us with the chems. Just saying.
I agree 100%. I actually think that electroculture was one of the base principles that they used when they were
1,000,000%
pulling that energy down.
Part of the technology of the pyramids, for sure, and that you see all of these different floodplains around the different pyramids, as well as the ancient aqueducts and canal systems all throughout and around them. It's because that was a major part of it, was the electroculture, agriculture of it.
Right. You look at the Palace of Versailles and the gardens around there. I have to agree with Campbell in his thought that these were actually farms, right?
Oh, yeah.
Before,
the different star forts, especially, like, and in a couple episodes with Campbell, the Portuguese one, is it? I gotta pull up a picture of it now. The specific one that's like quite elevated high up, yet it's like in the center of it, it's like the basic battery star fort, bastion fort, but then it's like got like 6 layers, and like it's all the way up, and like they're protruding out. Sorry, I know where to get the picture of it. Of course, share this tab instead, because it also actually fits into Geoglyphology now that I think about it, and that's how all-encompassing this ancient geoglyphology is. Here we go, the Portugal one, this guy, and that on this particular one, you see all of these rows along the is there a actual one that loads up? No, frick. I need to get a larger picture of it, but that there's like a whole bunch of holes on several layers of the different what would be canals, and used to have water in them, and it looks like the perfect potting spots for essentially hydroponics, and it'd be electroculture hydroponics that they were essentially doing in these, and that I theorized that there'd be a water spring pump at the very center of the bastion fort that would then have the water coming up from an aquifer and then flood down, like a waterfall down, I guess, each layer down, cascading down. And that's how it kept the water flowing and fresh instead of stagnant in all of these corresponding canals and moats that are depicted and shown in all of these Star Fort, Star City, Citadel spots. But specifically in this one, because it's so high up, and that there's, I gotta get a better picture of it. I'm failing right now. Where is it? I shall find it.
Well, also, you've got a lot of underground rivers and stuff that are going under some of these cathedral sites, right? Where they were using the sound, using the frequency to activate the waters.
The cathedrals, as well as the pyramids, as well as the star cities and star forts.
So
all under the Bosnian pyramid.
Yeah, exactly. The Bosnian pyramid, specifically, all the work of Sam Zvonimich and their team there excavating it and showing all of the different water systems through there, the undisturbed, perfect, tranquil waters, as well as there's still one active stream at a lower level flowing through the very basement of the pyramid. But it's documented that there were all of these fountains and actual aquifers built into the engineering of these star cities and bastion forts and pyramids, and that it proves that how advanced the engineering was, while simultaneously that it had to be built literally from below the ground up in these macro-formed megalithic geopolymer structures.
Or it was ground level and then it got covered by the mud flood. Think of that. As they were building up, they were actually at the real ground level during that period of time. And then they built up and then did this geoforming, but it was also to move the water that was coming in from the flooding, right? Some of these forts were actually ways where they were escaping the water that was coming in. Depends on the period you're looking at.
Especially like in South America, for instance, and in Asia as well.
Yeah, I remember hearing one guy's claim was like a comet came flying in and smoked the South Pole, and then at the North Pole and blew all the water out and into space, and then it came raining down and flash froze everything.
Yeah, I heard something similar where a comet came and hit the Greenland ice sheet, and that's what caused mini ice age.
Well, supposedly,
right.
Well, basically, all of Canada was covered in an ocean's worth of ice. So anything striking here would be a very bad day for anything everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, that's supposedly what happened to end the Younger Dryas event. Randall Carlson, Graham Hancock have done some great work on proving that. And that when it melted the ice sheet, that's what would have formed the scablands and all of it rushing, melting into the oceans, rising the oceans by 400 feet in what they now have determined to be less than 4 years.
The mega tsunami alone would have just destroyed everything, even without an oceanic rise after.
And to top it off, that mega ocean tsunami, and it shows throughout like Africa, through the Sahara, and through like Australia, pretty much all, and the salt lakes of like Ohio, Utah, and whatnot, all everywhere where there's these deserts, there's also the salt lakes and the salt scarred lands, because the salted the salted earth can't grow crops because it has salt in it. It's saturated with salt, no longer fresh water for the plants, crops to grow. That's why they've turned into such deserts.
And if you ever noticed, underneath like a lot of the freshwater lakes and stuff is a giant salt bed. Right, where they had salt mining, and then of course they got flooded in, and I don't think that's really permitted as much anymore.
The fertile areas in Canada, the reason they're fertile is because there's a whole bunch of fish and stuff that lived there, and then they became soil.
Right. That's what's the San Joaquin Valley in Central California. That's why it's been such a breadbasket for the world, right? You know, all the raisins and grapes.
Sorry, everybody. I did not realize that we had Shem, Sarah, and Frankie, New West Reset, all waiting there, sitting. Sorry, everyone. And I
What's going on?
welcome Tartarian Truth. And I finally have the picture, this right here, of the one in Portugal, and that you can see all of these whole spots. Like if water was coming from the center, then cascades down. Each of these engravings could have had water wheels that were machine powered. Then it goes down again. You would have had more water wheels that were machine powered, then cascading down again with more, and then all of your agriculture, aeroponic or hydroponic planting along that is potentially,
BurnEye, earlier
what that could be.
BurnEye, earlier you guys were talking about you know, the pyramids and so on, and the water tables underneath. And in our community's research, we've also discovered that a lot of the ancient cathedrals, European or otherwise, have springs or wells or water underneath them. So it would make sense that whether it's a cathedral built on top of a quote unquote mountain or mound or buried ancient structure, or whether it's a pyramid itself with the water underneath, this could account for the water being brought up from those lower levels and then sort of pumped throughout these facilities, star forts, pyramids, ancient mounds, cathedrals, whatever the case may be.
And all
Right, all those holes around the star fort in Portugal, those actually could have been gathering the water and pumping it back up to the center.
Well,
right?
another technology that could be a possibility for the past is the atmospheric water generating machines. There's a guy named Moses West right now who I'm shocked it's even legal for him to do this, but he's created a machine that collects stuff from the atmosphere and creates water for people all around the world that need it. But this technology, yeah, it's crazy. His name's Moses West.
For the forest fires, Shem.
So you're going to be a water farmer on Tatooine?
But basically, this technology that he's working with allegedly goes back to the time of the Incas. So it's possible that even back in history, these people were collecting whatever from the atmosphere to generate water and store it in certain places.
Well, isn't potato originally from mountainsides in terms of agriculture?
I'm not sure, but I think I think so, because they sent it over to Ireland because it was so easy for it to grow and they were having that famine. So I think it came from maybe the Americas. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've looked into that, but one time I did because randomly I came across it when I was reading something. But let me find that Moses West thing real quick.
I've heard
So
that
I
the
see.
potato and the sweet potato are supposed New World food stuffs, if you will. I've heard that as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, aren't there sweet potatoes like all across the rim of the Pacific? Like Japan has its own varieties and stuff. So I don't know.
So a comment here from Not Sure says maybe they were structuring the water, and I absolutely agree. That's what they were doing. They were structuring the water.
Yeah,
Be a
and they would
frequency.
call it holy because, you know, if it's good for you, then, you know, simple human term, so it's holy. So,
yeah, that goes back to what BurnEye was saying about if the water runs down steps and so forth, it creates the rippling effect of the water.
And I want to test the water,
creates,
structured water in cathedrals with the organs, especially.
Right.
And
Yeah,
seeing if
yeah.
that's would truly make the holy water of their communions and whatnot.
Yeah, it creates a frequency, which then, you know,
The
makes
science
it
of
true,
structured
clear,
holy water.
and clean water. Yeah.
Sure. Well, and as we've
Computer's
seen with
freezing.
electroculture, you know, it's the plants are the growth cycle is faster, they're healthier, right? So if you're feeding structured water to your garden, to your agriculture, then obviously you're going to have a better growth cycle, quicker growth cycle, larger plants, right?
Yeah, and plants that are exposed to certain frequencies or pleasant music or even the pleasant tone of your voice. There's something to be said for speaking quote unquote lovingly to plants. They do tend to grow faster and larger.
Yeah, the Matsumoto
Right.
effect, right, of memory and water. And so Frankie, New West Reset, Shem, Tartarian Truth, Anteluvean, American, and Mindful Exposures said, all of you can do the same as Gerald is doing if you so wish. Or maybe some of you are actually on top of Gerald, restreaming to your own channels by hitting share with your audience.
Yeah, I'm restreaming right now on both my channels.
Excellent,
I'm only hopping on for a second, but I gotta get back to editing a video. I just want to say what's up since you invited me. But yeah, this is the machine right here. You can see here it's pretty big, but he generated this water that's coming out of here from the atmosphere apparently, and he basically just goes around the world providing water for people in need. I don't know why they didn't do this in Michigan for the longest time, but I think they are now.
Does he say how
That
it works?
was amazing. Can you please also post the link in the private chat, brother?
Yeah, this is just his website.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
You could do
I'm shocked he's still alive. He hasn't been assassinated or anything yet. So maybe there's something else going on with it. Who knows? But
regardless,
though,
by bringing awareness to all of these inventors and all of these ways, it's a good way to help encourage and ensure their survival. And that if this is a practical way to actually harness or access atmospheric
I just
water,
want to make sure it's not just like a Peltier device, because that would be kind of...
It's a what device?
Peltier device is what you use in an AC unit.
Yeah, like a dehumidifier. Just a giant dehumidifier.
Called an atmospheric water generator.
Because if it's just like grabbing the moisture that's in the air, that's one thing. But if it's pulling it down or something,
from
that's
the atmosphere.
Yeah, like if it's pulling it towards the device, that's completely different.
All right, let's check out what it says real quick. This is what it's called. A device that extracts water from human ambient air, producing portable water vapor.
Oh yeah, see, it's from the air, not the atmosphere. So the problem would be if in
this
the
doesn't
fire
appear to be the same
situation for fighting fires, it wouldn't be practical. But like in the nighttime, it would probably harvest the dew every night and whatnot. So like it would provide good drinking water, 100%.
I don't think this is the same thing though, because it doesn't mention Moses West at all in this Wikipedia article. So it might be something
we'll
different.
have to look.
I'll have to get back to you with that.
But thank you.
Regardless, all of these technologies should be being looked at, and anything that is able to be easily or cheaply replicated and utilized should start to be doing so everywhere, as you never know. You can never have enough accessible, clean drinking water and water in general, right? And especially if you can set them up in remote locations, and if it's collecting just from the ambient air around each night, it would definitely like fill up through the dew, regardless of hot, dry days.
Yeah, the only issue with the Peltier device is that it's not very energy efficient. So unless we have free energy,
I've got
if
another
you have
one looked
free
up,
energy, then it's
Simon,
fine.
and
But you know,
Simon, I've got the link Shem shared, and it's a little different than what you've got in mind, my friend.
Yeah, well, I'll have to look into this more and maybe find like a patent for it or something and see if he describes how he does it. So I can't find anything on this website. It's barely loading. My computer's awful. When I'm streaming, it barely functions. But yeah,
he calls them hydro panels, and it uses the power of the sun. So so it's got built-in solar panel into the fan water cooling collector system, and it actually it operates during the day and collects the water during the day and night through the energy it collects through the solar panels.
so is it like a thermoacoustic resonator or something?
It is solar panels combined with what he calls hydro panels. Here, I'll pull it up.
Oh, because I was looking at it. I haven't read all the.
Oh, you opened it up too.
It.
Obviously, he shared it in the back, so you opened up the same one.
I'll see if I can find the patent for it real quick before I get off here too.
And Shem, I do offer, even though you are going, we are going to just keep it to pyramids and such. If you want it to be live, to get you to that 4,000 hours again, rebuilding your channel if you'd like, and can show some people your way. And Frankie, New West Reset as well, recently reaching that 1K. Congratulations, my fellow Calgarian, Tartarian.
Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty stoked about it, and I've arranged a meetup for this coming Sunday, June the 11th, at 1 in the afternoon, meeting up on Stephen Avenue, historic Stephen Avenue downtown, and we're going to do a mud flood walking tour. Yeah, nice. Looking forward to it. It's going to be great. That's really just an excuse to meet up with people and do the mud flood walking tour, and we're going to start on 8th Avenue and 6th Street Southwest, and we're going to end at City Hall downtown, the old City Hall, which is an amazing building, by the way.
Yes, it is. And Shem, Frankie, Shem, before you go, and Frankie, being in Calgary, Alberta, with me, this in Montana here, this clearly megalithic polygonal geopolymer walls where you can see it's the exact same as everywhere else that has them around the world. This also is in Montana as well. These giant megalithic geopolymer wall blocks. This guy right here, part of the Montana megaliths.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some of that in the Badlands in southern Alberta where you're headed around.
Oh, I've been seeing them for years. I know several sites where they are.
Because you know that area down there used to be part of the Louisiana territories prior to the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. And then, you know, coincidentally, just a few months after that, you had the Lewis and Clark expeditions in the U.S., and you had the David Thompson expeditions here in Canada exploring that whole region.
Sus.
Right? And so, Frankie, do you know, like when you're heading on the number 1 west towards Canmore and Banff and whatnot, which mountain Mount Yamaniska is? It's like
Mount Yamaniska is the big cliff face one.
Right? Yeah. That giant, huge cliff one. Yeah. So from behind, when you climb it, and on the opposing side, going into the mountain valley, and the next peak on the opposite side of the valley, and then it's like the chain of mountains all the way through the Rockies going westward from there. But that opposing peak, I've got pictures that I'll be uploading, and it's another spot I'm going to be going. It appears to have 2 400 to 500 foot carved guardians, and then behind, but kind of placed like next to them, another 300 or 400 to 200 foot carved guardians, and behind that, this 200 foot carved staircase into this cliff, up this cliff, and then 200 feet up on this cliff face, it then separates going in both directions along the face of the cliff for like another 100, 150 feet carved in completely to this cliff face mountain wall, and then enters two complete rectangular entrance caves into the mountain.
I've heard that there are structures or monolithic stoneworks on that, I guess it's the north slope, not the cliff face side of Mount Yamnuska. But I've never seen anything. I've heard it on your channel, and I've heard it from, I can't remember where else, a couple of other sources. But it's funny you say that. And when I was in grade 7, which would have been 1983, we did a school trip there, and we hiked up the backside of Mount Yamnuska to the top, but they didn't take us to where any of those old monolithic ruins are, of course.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Shem, I'll let you speak.
Oh no, that's fine. That was interesting what you guys are talking about.
So there's the main entrance going up to like the very top of it, and then right when you're about 2/3 away up the mountain, and when you begin that final like ascent from like the tree line up to the peak sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've actually also got pictures. So there's a little pathway that will take you like around the side face, the opposite side face of Mount Yamnuska, facing the opposite mountain there in that valley that I was talking about. And that's where it gives you this perfect lookout view of it all. And then all of the rocks in that area look like giant megalithic built blocks. It's absolutely crazy. They look like stacked giant bricks. It's insane. I've got pictures of it all, and there's like these little pathways through them that intersect at like perfect right angles through them, and what look like they have these petroglyph and runic carvings on them, and all of that I do have pictures of on this little guy right here.
That's incredible. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Removed. Like I tried putting it into my computer and it was in the wrong slot and it was jammed, and I was worried I was going to destroy it, but shout out to Pops, my dad was able to recover it. So next step, getting it back into the card that actually fits. And for some of the same strange reason, the card that fit it into the camera, when I got it back out of the computer, it won't even fit back into the other card now, and it's just a giant pain in the ass. So it's coming. I promise. All of these pictures of what I'm talking about. Oh, you got it loaded. Attaboy. Okay. Right.
Yeah, I'm just checking them out. I never heard of this before.
Okay, so stop. The picture of that someone standing in the middle there.
This one right here, to the right.
To the right, yeah. We can open that up.
Looks like it's kind of small.
So that is the area I was referring to of one of the paths, and where the person's actually taking the picture from is right where all of the crazy megalithic blocks are, as well as the runes. And you can see at the very top left corner of the picture a straight line there, and it's like on top of that is like the next big giant megalithic block. If you can keep going through those the picture right there to the left, immediately to the left, in between the larger and that same picture. Down
The
in
one with the
middle.
writing all over it.
Yes, you got it.
Yeah, I don't know why these are so
Okay,
bright.
so in the very far ground, you can see a bunch of lined, big,
So
standing, what look like monoliths. Those are the guardians that I speak of.
Yeah, I've never seen these. That's amazing.
yeah, this
Well, I
is
know
really
there's
up there,
about 3 different hiking trails to take you up to the top.
In that part, so
Here, I found this
up
website.
behind them goes the gravel.
Maybe it's better quality here.
So that's Mount Yamanisco. Yeah, this one. There we go. Can it zoom in?
I can probably zoom in with the. When I open them in a different tab. Oh, yeah, we lost it. My computer is not the best for this. I'm trying.
You're doing great. There we go. So right on the far left of that picture, top corner, far left.
Jeez. Yeah, every time I zoom out, it does some crazy stuff. Sorry.
No worries. Doesn't want us to see. There we go. That's the one. So the top left corner there of that mountain in the background is where, right on the edge, is where those guys are, and you can't really see it. It's cut off the carving of the pathway into that big old cliff there.
It looks huge.
So stoked for just remembering it. I got to get out there.
Yeah, that's basically a day hike to go up to the top and back down again.
It is, right? We did the day hike to get up to the top there of Yamanisco.
Oh my gosh.
But it's probably you probably have to backpack in for a second day though to go into that valley and then go up and exploring into those caves there.
Yeah, that would be a 2 or 3 day. Yeah.
I don't know if I do the chain part. It's pretty intense.
Well, it's funny how some of the different paths, what they've done is they've categorized them into expertise levels, right? To try to, I think, dissuade some people from exploring and messing around up in there.
Oh, exactly, right?
I wish the stupid
Just
menu would stop popping up.
They'll dissuade you from going into the Grand Canyon with the Apache helicopter, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you hear about how
of course, around these parts, a Chinook helicopter. Sorry, go ahead.
Did you guys hear about how? No, it's all good. Did you guys hear about how the drones are automatically programmed in the software that they have to not be able to fly in certain areas?
Oh, the no-fly zone. So
Apparently.
naturally now you can't even have your drone go into the Grand Canyon because it's a no-fly zone
by law.
It's insane. It's stupid though. What? It's
my
ridiculous.
goodness.
It shouldn't be a law.
It covers,
who do they think they are?
I think it covers airports and military or like government facilities in general. So I guess they're counting national parks
like that.
I don't think they care about any of your rights.
Yeah, that would be national parks, airports,
all
that kind of stuff. State parks.
All right, so before I hop off here, I did find these patents. It looks like there is one for refrigeration that he did, but there's also 2 for atmospheric water generation. So I'm not sure. I sent the link in the private chat if anyone wants to look into it or post it on YouTube for anyone to look into. But yeah, overall, I mean, I don't know much about the guy. He could be a part of something ridiculous, but it seems like he's genuinely just trying to help people get water. So hopefully this technology becomes widespread and nothing bad happens to him.
So, it seems pretty legit.
All right, well.
One last thing before you go,
Shem,
just to finish it off. Shout out to Hallie Julia, and I'm bringing it up because Julia got a picture of, I believe she says Isis Temple. I actually think it's Shiva Temple when flying from Vegas or over Vegas up of the Grand Canyon here. And I don't know if it's large enough for all to see because it's on Instagram. It won't let me enlarge it. But in this actual picture, you can see what looks like a sphinx face right on the top there of the center of this pyramid, and then what looks like two paws going down. And is that the Sphinx of the Grand Canyon? And I believe that is, she says Isis, sorry, Shiva Temple. Could be a different one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But it's like there's 50 of those in there, and that's what they're not letting us see. And one of them is also called Solomon's Temple. I bet that is the real Solomon's Temple. And now we will let you go, Shem. Thank you for stopping in, brother. Much love.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day, everyone.
Take care, Shem. See ya.
We have Sarah, Mindful Exposure, back with us, and Frankie, New West Reset.
Howdy, howdy.
So you're doing an 11th meetup downtown at the historic
Stephen Avenue.
Stephen Ave, sorry. Jeez.
Yep.
Stephen Ave. And then, so I'm going to have to make it, I guess, the week after that or 2 weeks after that. Medicine Hat Badlands. And you're going to have to come down to that one.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, for sure there, bud, eh? You know I'm going to be...
for sure, eh? We'll go stomping around this place together, eh?
Go out for a rip, eh?
Go up just going to rip it up down there, bud.
Find some balls, eh? Is this what you're talking about, kettles, or is kettle something different? Which formation
those are kettles.
These are kettles.
Yeah.
Stone kettles, okay. Crazy. I've seen pictures of them in like Siberia, Antarctic beaches, Northwest Territories, supposedly, the Bosnian pyramids, Nan Mandol, supposedly also. I believe Easter Island and Hawaii also have them.
I think somewhere in Asia too.
Yes.
Cambodia, Laos, someplace like that, Vietnam or something. I can't remember exactly.
All of the
but
above,
in that sort of area, yeah.
I think every place you just listed also has.
Probably, yeah. I mean, the borders are, arbitrary, really, right?
Right, but it's like they tried to claim they're only in 2 different places.
Well, they just give them different names, and there you go. Well, those aren't kettles; those are blah blah blah, whatever, right? Lava bobules or whatever.
It is insane. Esra, are you with us? Are you muted?
Yeah, I was actually trying to pull up some of the research I've been doing. I know I talk about Oregon all the time because I obviously live here and I'm sort of obsessed.
Well, exactly. You're our Oregon plug. You're the plug of Oregon, dear. Give us
I literally live in Goonie land too,
history, Titan Mountains of Oregon.
Well, I think you were talking before I disappeared about just megaliths, and one of the things in Oregon that I keep talking about too that I was going to pull up a picture of, but are the haystack rocks off the coast that have the facial features on it. Remember we did that show together, and so but there's a lot of petroglyphs. There's people have been finding them on the lost coast of California. I kind of not tried to go find it. I didn't have enough time to truly search because there's actually a pretty good sized chunk of remote area, but one guy's reported to have found some on the cliff sides. And then, Oregon, like we've talked about, it was considered the first or the oldest known human settlement until I can't remember what, maybe it was in Arizona or somewhere in the Southwest where they found an older settlement, but we had the oldest known petroglyphs and signs of human civilization dating back, I think, 14,000 years ago. And we have the Paisley Caves. And they don't give you these locations, but I have gone through Google Maps and I have found where these are. So in some of these places I've been really close to these areas. So I'm planning trips this summer. And some of these areas I got to go like later fall because it gets too hot because it's high desert. But these are remote areas. Like nobody lives out here. So it's really fun on top of looking for this stuff because you're in the middle of nowhere by yourself. I'll pop up some stuff if you want me to. I was just trying to find the folder that I specified for this specifically.
That's right. You were saying you were in Oregon. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Sorry, my computer was freezing. Yes, please do bring. Open it up. Opener.
Yeah, here, let me just start with like some of the articles I've been saving. Okay. And so you can see like all the sites. Oh, and there's a cave that I found out that's not too far away from me, actually, that I can easily do in a day trip. So, oh, yes, Simon. Actually, that's something I carry other tools with me because I do go by myself a lot. Like, oh, Bernie, I had a bear encounter after our live the other day. And that's my second bear encounter in a couple of years.
Synchronicity. The bear brought you a bear.
Right?
It was a good bear. It wasn't a harmful bear.
No, it wasn't. And actually what to be honest, I've never seen a Wolverine in the wild, and my mind went there at first. Like it would have been a really big one. But it wasn't a whole
drove
bear.
your mind there.
It was a bigger yearling. So it was really furry, and it threw me off at first because it looked like it had a really furry tail. And then I realized later it was like
they're
it was
scruffy at that age, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my goodness. I usually try to feed them at that, and when they're like that, my girlfriends are like, I say girlfriends because it's like there's my current Amber, and then before that my ex, and like my ex before that, and like the 20 years that I drive through the Rocky Mountains, every time I'd see one, I'd go out and try to feed it. And they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" It's like, it's a cute bear.
Well, I have a little video I'll show you. We won't play the audio because I'm talking to this Forest Service guy who ended up helping me, but I found a yearling like a year ago, and I thought it was a cub because it was so malnourished. And I totally, it was like I was on with the Fish and Wildlife. They were worried I was going to try to save it or something. I think they just like thought that I was. I didn't. It had huge paws, but I'll show you a little video I made of it. I just have to pull it up really quick. Sorry. I labeled it Little Ben when I sent it to them. And so I think that's why they thought I was, because they like called me. They're like, Sarah, we know you're really worried about this, but please don't try to save this thing. Here.
I would have saved the problem. Bear.
Here, I'll show you.
Do you know how loyal a big bear is that you've raised from a baby bear? That's your baby bear forever, you know?
Like that Polish military one?
That bear right. You
Wojtek?
don't whip it, but you
Wojtek
feed
the
it
bear.
good.
Here we go. This is my little bear experience. See how little he is? Wait, when I get up to him, you'll see how big his claws is. But I'm like, there's nothing you can do when you're not really supposed to, because mom could have still been around. Like he could have still.
You're crazy. Why were you trying? Like that bear was hiding from you climbing a tree.
You don't know the series of events. I waited until
there's something wrong with the bear. My bad. I should let you tell your story. And before I do, I would just like to state, I am not actually condoning people kidnap baby cub bears and try to raise them for themselves.
Nor should you do what I'm doing right here. You should not.
This isn't
as close as I do
here.
You'll see how close I get, but this was after I had already.
That's not adolescence. That's still cub, I think.
No, I know, but wait till you see its claws.
Oh my god, you're so close. That mom would have freaking torn you apart.
I had already cleared the area. I had already been in the area for a while before I did this. I went down back the hill. I was trying to find somebody to help. I found a Forest Service guy. He came back up, and so the two of us are standing here at this point. He was way more bold. Look at how big these claws are when I get up on it. You can see, oh, that was it. It's kind of dark, but he had big claws. And so I sent the video to Fish and Wildlife, and the guy is like,
had a forest ranger with you when you were filming that?
he wasn't a forest ranger, sorry, he's a forest service worker.
Oh,
There's
you just
a
had a
difference.
second person with you, though. You were not alone with that.
Yes.
And you had to,
Yeah,
oh,
like I have a video of him approaching this thing. He got way up closer than I even did. It just looks like I was super close. You guys, I was okay, so before I even went and got him, I was yelling like, hey bear, thinking mom's around. I surveyed the whole area. I do keep spray
and
on
you were
me.
not alone. And you, okay, very good. Very good.
I probably need to get something else. So anyway, I'll show you guys more stuff.
Get at least a 10 millimeter.
Okay, and here's the thing. This is so ridiculous. My ex actually carried
American
to get it and my brother does, but I have still yet to actually ever shoot one. And so I need to do that. And then I definitely have, because I've been starting to go on back forest roads all the time by myself. I go find hikes all the time by myself now. And I am realizing I have to, there's some crazy people out there.
Yeah,
there's a lot of shooters.
It's not just the bears and the moose if you're far enough north for that. Yeah, no. The two-legged animals are just as scary.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was going to say, yes, the Sasquatch, they will take you. And
so
when you hear
I have
a Sasquatch
story,
it stays with you for life, and you get the shivers every time you frickin' remember.
I have a Sasquatch story that I had confirmed because I went through a period where I was listening to the Chronicles of the Sasquatch Chronicles. If you guys have ever listened to those, they're really good actually. But people have recorded a lot of audio of Sasquatch, and I had an experience with my ex. We were out rock hounding in an area I found out where they've done a show, one of those Bigfoot hunting. They did a show in that area. And we were completely by ourselves. We were like traversing through these they're not really even gravel roads. They're sort of like grown over with pine needles and stuff. So they're not even like roads really anymore. It's pretty off-roading. So we were like going back through all these crazy areas and nobody was out there. It was probably like early spring. Literally, we didn't run into a single other person. And then we ended up camping at this campsite. And I've been trying to figure out exactly which one I was at, but we had a herd of coyotes come through, and then I had the weirdest sounding. It sent chills down my spine. It was super close. It was really loud. And the closest thing I can compare it to now that I've listened to that show and listened to their audio was the gibberish talk from the Sierra Nevada sounds. It sounded like some large, crazy beast type creature talking in gibberish. I know I probably sound crazy right now, and the funniest thing is there's a lot of wild horses around there. There's not really supposed to be any wild burros as far as I know. But after this thing made all these really weird sounds, really loud, louder than I would ever think a wild horse could. And I went back and listened to wild horse noises because I was really curious. Anyway, it made a donkey hee-haw. It was like talking in this like that. And then it was like hee-haw. And it made us laugh because we were just like, what the hell? But the craziest thing was this like herd of coyotes that came through right in connection with this. And it was like, we could hear them. It was insane. It was like, it had to at least be 20 to 30. And then, and I guess this all connects. So that's my Oregon Sasquatch story for you guys.
The coyotes fleeing could have been a sign that, the Sasquatch was in the immediate vicinity, and the coyotes, as you know, get spooked really easily, even if they are in larger groups. They'll just take off, right? So maybe that's why they were yipping and scattering all over the place, and probably scatting too, literally shitting themselves.
You say it imitated like a donkey afterwards, though, and I do believe they probably would have this like higher pitched different, like you're saying, gibberish, but to them probably fully functional language.
Well, and that was what was so weird. It was so different that with the gibberish talk was actually really low. It was very guttural. and it was almost like there was little roars and little like
the low. Okay,
in it.
that low travels like miles or kilometers through the
Yeah,
base and ground, just like elephants. They found communicate in
Yeah.
herds through that low
trees
base.
communicate through the
miles.
ground that way, you know, like for miles they found out. So yeah.
Well, and the other thing is Oregon, much like Alberta, is a horse ranch country. A lot of horse ranches around there. And from my experience, a lot of horse ranchers will keep a few donkeys in the herd because donkeys are super aggressive and will chase off coyotes, wolves, and sometimes even bears to protect the horses. So perhaps the mimicry of, you know, what we're talking about that could be a Sasquatch, perhaps intelligent enough to mimic sounds of other animals that they're hearing out in these wooded areas, such as donkeys, horses, cattle.
Right. Well, like that, it was probably speaking in its language, and then it ended with like an imitating of another animal, as if to almost mask its presence or its speaking. And like you said, that like it made you laugh, like that it was intelligent enough to end its like whatever it was communicating with or saying or doing with then another imitated animals, wild.
And I heard, and then I read later, this is why I kind of doubted I did initially, but then I had seen later that that this what they mimic. There's other reports of them mimicking other animals. So yeah.
Owls especially. Right? They do the coo and the ooh and the
And have you heard the cougars? That cougars actually have multiple different sounds to mimic birds. And it's like you would not be able to tell unless you had known this, like a chirping type sound they make.
The chirping, now that you said that, I had never thought of that, but I experienced that chirping the one time I was almost ambushed with a mother cougar teaching its adolescent cougar how to hunt at the river park, actually within Calgary, down at New Discovery. And luckily it was myself, my ex-girlfriend, and my two past pit bull / English Mastiff cross dogs, so that there was 4 of us, and that at the end of the pathway was the adolescent cougar, and it looked like an oversized giant golden retriever with a giant oversized tail, and that it was like hopping up, and it was like cooing and chirping towards its mom, and then it was a chirp that originally got my attention, and I looked next to me, and there was a bush about 10 feet behind the bush on the pathway that we were at, and immediately next to us, just about, so it was 5 feet, then 10 feet, about 15 to 20 feet next to us was the mom sitting, watching us, staring, ready to pounce.
Wow.
But because there was the 2 dogs, myself and my ex, that it decided not to, and that it was fenced at the other end, and that the young or the adolescent was playing the bait role, but it had gone into the fence, and then it was struggling to clear this 10-foot fence, and had entrapped itself, kind of sort of thing, so that the mom was then more worried about it. And I was like, to my ex, Anika's like, she was still trying to figure out and realize that it was a baby cougar, and I was like, "Okay, we need to go." And she was like, "What?" I'm like, "Just turned around and took her." And she was like almost fighting me, but I did not let her know about that cougar right there, because as soon as they sense fear, we could have been effed. And then we just walked off, and then when we got about 20 feet back, she then saw the mom move and run to the baby, and it was just oh my god, how the heck did we just survive that? And then as we were walking back, about a half a minute to a minute later, literally maybe 200 meters, back like towards the parking lot, there was like this other lady jogger with like headphones in and a little chihuahua, and we're like trying to like wave her down to stop, and she like tried to dodge us and kept going, and then like we finally got her, and then she stopped and was
good.
We saved her life.
She's like, what are these crazy people are trying to kidnap me. Like, no, cougar. I know, I ran encounter the other day, but everybody had left, and then I realized why I ran into it because everybody else was gone.
Well, like Tranquil Vortex, Vortex in the chat is saying that, and anybody who owns a house cat will know that, you know, if your cat sees a bird outside the window, it will make little chattering or chirping sounds. I used to have a cat, and it used to do that all the time. Yeah, when it would see a bird or a squirrel, even, but mostly birds.
So I can actually get my cat to do it
loudly.
Sorry.
If you have a mix with a house cat, you get what's called a Savannah cat, and they also chirp really loudly. But after a few generations, they stop doing it.
Interesting.
Also, it's maybe a learned.
And I also heard that not cougars, cheetahs they meow and purr. They don't roar. I think maybe they do.
The hyoid bone isn't fused, so they can actually purr.
Oh,
yeah,
there you go.
It's one or the other, basically. Either you purr or you roar.
Got you. Okay.
But yeah, cougars, they can make really loud shrieks that sound like a woman being murdered. It kind of freaks you the first time you hear it.
Yeah, it's very bone chilling. Yeah.
I've been listening to it because I go out so much by myself. I want to be like really aware of the sounds around me. So I've been,
what you described was literally what the adolescent cougar was sounding like. It was almost heartbreaking. The sound, like how distressed sounding its chirp cry was, sort of thing. Like calling for its mom, and it was like, oh my god, don't murder us. There's some crazy encounter videos out there, but you gotta stand your ground.
You've seen that one. I have it saved if you want to actually watch it right now. The one where the guy, gosh, where was that? Was that California? It wasn't far from where I'm at, but he accidentally ran up on some cubs, and mom just got super pissed and chased him up a hill, and it's real scary. You want to see it?
They are fast, and like they will jump around corners and stuff. They are apex predators for a reason.
Yeah, they're huge. They mountain lions or cougars here in North America are huge.
Let me find it here. Yeah.
They truly are. They're the same size as lions, jaguars, and tigers.
If you like bend over to tie your boots or something, and you get jumped on your back, you're pretty much boned because they go straight for the neck.
A lot of hikers.
Yeah, I want a mountain bike so bad, but like most of the attack cases were people on their bikes or running.
A lot of hikers and mountain bikers will wear a hat that has eyes painted on the back of the hat.
Oh.
Yeah, or a mask. Yeah.
Yeah,
here we go.
That's very common. Yeah.
Found it. It was in Utah. Okay, here, I'll pull it up. Oh, wait, I got to pull this in Chrome so you can hear the audio.
Ironically,
this is important because he did all the right things to scare this thing off, or to keep it off base. Sorry, go ahead.
The most affectionate cats, oddly enough, is the cheetah, which you wouldn't really expect since they are like rush down predators.
Yeah, and they tend to be loners too. Huh?
Yeah, they travel in small groups. Where's my Chrome?
And that's why also having spike collars on your canine best friends while hiking in the mountains will also help give them an extra fighting chance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and if you can, you just get a shotgun. They're not expensive. It's worth.
You don't have to shoot the animal itself. You shoot in front of it so that it decides not to continue to attack.
Well, they make bear bangers. Like it's basically a blank, and you shoot it in front of you, and scares the bear off or whatever the animal is. And if not, you have buckshot or slugs right after that you can use to.
You can use bear spray. Specifically, it's that thicker foam versus just the light, mist. Okay, why can't I find my chrome in all of a sudden?
Yeah, bear spray and pepper spray can be dodgy, right? If the wind is coming at you and you spray that stuff, you're going to get more of it than whatever's trying to chase you down.
That's why I think
an old joke that you can tell a black bear's poop and a grizzly bear's poop apart because one has undigested leaves in it and the other one smells of pepper spray and has dog collars in it.
That's funny.
Yeah, some of those big grizzlies up here in Alberta in the Rocky Mountains, pepper spray or whatever, that's just a added spice. It's just to flavor up whatever they're about to eat. Put a little cayenne pepper on this human. Delicious.
Actually, cayenne pepper is a decent repellent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Right? They don't like you spicy. They want you plain and bland or with cheese and bacon.
Black people don't season their humans.
Watch, bam, mom. Oh, it'll show it better. He just saw the cub, and now mom is running at him. Oh, wait, maybe that was a different cub starting to run at him, and now mom's going to chase him here in a second. It's going to show her in a second. This is one of the craziest videos I've ever seen.
And where is this?
It didn't sound like this is Utah. I didn't get the audio to. He just is like, hey, when every time.
Oh, yes, I know. Oh, yeah, it's like for like a couple minutes keeps it like.
Yeah, he goes, wait, see how it's charging at him, and he's got to keep challenging it back to keep
pawing
it.
at the ground and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't want to get scratched.
Guy literally played it the only way you could play it, fighting for his life with his wits and not backing down while backing up the entire time.
Yeah, you have to maintain head on, like you have to stare at it the whole time.
This is why
exactly. You make eye contact with all animals, and that you can establish the mutual respect of that, like, I'm not going to kill you while you're not going to kill me. And eventually, especially if they're not defending their young, a lot of time they will reach an understanding and respect and go their own ways.
The other thing I've been learning, because even with lions, like, it's kind of a joke, but they say, like, carry a stick, because you can keep a lot of animals at bay with like a long stick. So get used to hiking with a walking stick, which is what I'm starting to do too. On top of it,
that used to be a rite of passage apparently for Maasai boys as part of their tribal rituals into manhood, was to run up and slap a lion with a stick. Apparently.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time I hiked in the mountains in California, I always took a walking stick with me, and I've chased off a few different bears and a mountain lion by tapping on this, hitting the tree, hitting a rock, making loud noise. And like Bernie, what you were saying earlier with the shotgun, if that guy had a shotgun right now and shot a couple of rounds in front of that cat, it would be gone in a second.
Yeah.
You don't have to shoot the cat. You just got to shoot in front of it so it sees what's coming.
Yeah.
And the loud noise scares them off most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
And as a reminder, these cats weigh between 100 and 150 pounds.
Right there,
Yeah,
like,
they're
look
huge.
at that. Like,
Look
oh
at
my
that.
God.
Yeah, this is more terrifying than a wolf, by far.
Oh, yeah,
I agree. I have more fear. This is my biggest.
Imagine a saber-toothed tiger that was 10 to 20 times the size of that and had two giant machetes as teeth.
Whew.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a regular Bengal tiger is 5 times the size of this, and then 5 times again the size for a saber-tooth.
Well, Chris, CC Water 99, crapping your pants would probably make you less attractive a meal. So I guess.
Yeah, that's why coyotes shit themselves when a predator's
like, the
chasing
meat
them.
has turned sour. I don't want your human GMO butt anymore.
I much prefer pepper spray. This is a very scary video.
Right? Like, oh, I know. It just
It's
keeps
6
going.
minutes long. Can you imagine? Like, because you'd
Right?
probably
Like,
just be thinking you're gonna die any minute.
Oh, it'd be a
No.
adrenaline
You can't
rush.
think you're gonna die because the
I
moment
agree.
you do,
You
you
gotta
surrender to it, and it's
Yeah.
gonna attack you.
You'd be
If this
shaking
was-
for hours after.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck
You wouldn't
would.
sleep
That's
for
really
days.
what I mean. Like, once the adrenaline wore off, you would definitely be in a little.
That entire time, you're so pumped with adrenaline because you're ready to attack it as it attacks you, and you defend yourself. Like,
Yeah.
Except you don't have
Exactly.
claws, so have fun with that.
well, you'd want to
Use-
have a couple boulders in your
like-
hand at that point to at least try to blunten it and block. The
Yeah,
claws
and hit it in the head. Hit it the eyes. It's just like, yeah.
If this
A
was
rock-
me filming
a
this,
rock
the
and a
audio.
stick, like something to jab and to bash would be your best bet.
Well,
Or to
if it's
impale
gonna bite
yourself on.
something, give it your forearm at least, so it's not your neck.
Well, you let it
Yeah.
bite the stick first, or scratch the stick, and then you smash with the stone, and that's your like 1-2 to try to get it before it claws you or bites you, and you're done.
I do keep my eyes peeled for like large rocks while I'm walking in case like I didn't need to pick it up and use it too. But you know, the other benefit of using a walking stick is you're actually grounding yourself if you can't be barefoot. So it's sort of like an extra tool that way too.
Well, it's even more useful during winter because when you're walking, you can test the ground to see if it's ice.
And then it just runs off like that, and it's like, okay, time to go back to my cubs. You're out of my territory.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
You're in the bear's
far
territory
enough
now.
away.
Done.
Got far enough away from cubs that it. That's incredible. That's an amazing video.
Yeah, I'd be.
Oh yeah, look at his shaking hands.
Yeah.
He's like,
This poor
holy
guy.
fuck.
Oh,
It's over.
really, if you hear the audio, he was pretty. He was shaky, but he was calm. He did the great job with that. So anyway, I thought you guys would enjoy that.
Absolutely.
Jeez, bless that guy. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Right?
If that was me and I was filming that, the whole audio would just be me crying the whole time. I would just be crying
He's
like a child.
Fuck you, get out of here. He's like, I don't.
Lots of
he's
swear
like,
words.
"You're not
Yeah,
gonna
I'd
have
be yelling a lot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like when I saw the bear, you just like instincts do kick in. And so both times I was a little shaky, but I just immediately go, hey bear, hey bear. I start putting my hands up real big and I start slowly backing away with my face towards it because I didn't know where mom was. You know, mom was somewhere near there, I think. And you just make yourself clear. And then as soon as I got space and I didn't see anything, I ran a little bit to give myself a little extra space. And then I continued to walk backward. And then you end up working your different muscles as you do that. So, you know, it's a win-win, guys.
The thing about bears,
Dorky.
you're a little safer in the sense that, first of all, they're bigger, so they're easier to spot. And they actually have crappy vision, especially compared to cougars and wolves.
Oh,
So
but they can
slightly
smell you
easy-
from far
Well,
away.
yeah, their sense of smell is just as good, but their vision isn't all that great. So they're slightly easier to evade and confuse if you have experience with a bear. But I mean, I've made bears, wolves,
I was
cougars.
making a lot of noise. So yeah, what you're saying makes sense. I was actually confused. I ran into it because I constantly, when I know I'm by myself, and I'll have like a thing that I can, with my water bottle, I have like a hydro flask, you know, so it makes that ting noise and I'll make it go ping, ping as I'm walking. And a lot of times I'll talk to my dog really loudly, like, how you doing? You know, like obnoxious. Anyway, so when I saw it, I was kind of confused. The only thing I could think of was that all the noise I was making actually stirred it out from where it was, thinking it could hear me coming and thinking it needed to move or smell me coming. And that's how I ended up, because it was like 100 yards away. It wasn't like super far away.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't really matter because it can smell you coming further than you can see it coming, most likely, if you're in a forest or something. And they run faster than Usain Bolt. So
yeah.
Yeah, most bears around 40 miles per hour on a flat, straightaway in terms of sprinting. So even if you say, okay, 30 mile per hour in a wooded area, I mean, you're toast.
Yeah, but you got to run downhill. They can't run as fast downhill, and they'll actually stumble. You know, they got all the power going uphill, but they get pretty klutzy and clumsy when they're trying to run downhill.
Oh yeah, don't
That's
think you
really
can
good
climb a
to
tree to get away from a bear either.
No,
That will
no.
not work.
Right. I
No,
remember
because
we were
black
back
bears
in
can
South
climb as
Africa
good as
with my dog.
monkeys, and
Yeah.
a grizzly bear might even just push your tree over. So either way, you're kind of screwed.
Yes, Jelly and Rachel, bears are really, really fast.
Yeah, bears charge like no other.
I mean, they can't run at that speed for extended periods of time, but as a sprint, you know, if you're 20, 30 feet, 50 feet away from a bear in a sprint, they've got you in a blink of an eye.
Yeah. Those claws are not something to play with.
So that's why I strongly recommend getting at least a 10 millimeter. Because
Okay.
if you get attacked, you want to be able to,
I
hit
think
it
the fact
before
that
it gets to you.
Yeah. I apologize. I'm interrupting a lot. I was just going to say that I think that this encounter, because I've had a lot of animal encounters in my life, and so I feel like this is a sign I need to be prepared.
Yeah, and aim for the throat. It's the most vulnerable spot on a bear. If you're in that life or death crisis, that's where you got to aim for, is right for the throat, because anything else is just going to make them mad.
Oh yeah, the skull at some spots is what, like 2 inches thick or something insane like that. I've seen skull shots from a 45-70 that didn't go through, just glanced off. So
and their skulls are shovel shaped too. And it's 30 miles per hour, not 40. Sorry, Pants on the Ground is correcting me. My mistake. Still, either way, that's fast as hell, man.
Yeah, I pretty much grew up in Sequoia National Forest, so I used to see bears all the time.
Very cool.
Yeah, and we always had a shotgun, and we actually had bear slugs just in case, which are kind of lead hollow point slugs. And we had a 10 gauge shotgun. My dad was loading it with the bear slug, told me to shoot it into this oak stump, and it went into the oak stump maybe about 3 or 4 inches around, and the whole back of the oak stump was completely gone.
Oh yeah, back phase deformation. And you're very right. Pants on the ground. Moose are very, very dangerous, but they are rarer than bears. So there's that.
Yeah, it depends on where you're at. Like up in the panhandle of Idaho, moose are really common.
But the moose are terrifying because, if one picks a fight with your truck, the moose wins.
You know it.
Yeah, a moose is bigger than a horse, so they're pretty incredible animals.
That's what they say if you hit an elk, if you and don't see it in the road, it'll just destroy your car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're like 6 foot tall at the shoulder, and then their head is another 4, 5, 6 feet, and then they have their huge fucking crown on top of that. And it can be 6 feet wide. So if they don't like you, that's a bad day.
Yeah.
Isn't it ironic that the most beautiful creatures out of nature are also the most deadly, right? Cougars, moose, elk, bears, wolves.
Did you guys ever watch that Grizzly Man documentary?
You talking about the guy who lives with a couple bears? I saw one where he's with a polar bear. Apparently his wife is not very liked by it.
The polar bears, I feel like they're more unpredictable, and maybe it's just because we don't live around them as much, but they seem to be they seem to mess with humans way more than grizzlies do overall.
What's even worse, though, is that you can have a hybrid of a polar bear and grizzly, and they are bigger and more aggressive than both.
Oh, I didn't know they were bigger. Oh,
are you talking about the one where the guy's up in Alaska and thinks that he's part of the family of grizzly bears and then gets eaten?
Yeah, well, it's a little more complicated than that. He's in a group of them that they regularly get
for a while, but he knew that he was going to get eaten by the one bad one, and then it happened.
he thought he was a bear whisperer because of this one group of bears that was regularly used to human interaction. And he ended up deciding he was going to go to this remote island where they were starving to death because he was going to bring awareness and bear whisper these guys and save them, is what he said, even though he didn't bring food for them or anything. And he ended up getting stalked and eaten. But the whole, he's like rolling around with these bears in Denali, these huge grizzly bears, and like interacting with them on a daily basis before he goes to the island. It's just kind of an interesting story, regardless of his stupidity in it. Because he had absolutely zero training. He did minimal research before he went into doing this.
He was a legitimate temporary bear whisperer, but at the same time, he was absolutely reckless and idiotic and got himself a Darwin Award because
a bear whisperer. He just he was interacting with bears that were
some sort of self-defense at the very least.
The bears were getting fed by the rangers out there. So they were used to being well supplied. They weren't starving. Like all those things.
A big difference.
Yeah. They probably grew up with people around them. Yeah.
Hey guys, so I gotta jump. So if I could,
documentary. Sorry about.
Oh, I was just gonna say I gotta jump here. Wanted to drop in a quick plug. I built a website, thefounders.life, and the whole point of the website is for us to have our own community, which is not censored in any way, where we can all like join and have forums and discuss this in another format off of YouTube. So the founders.life, if any of you want to go there, I've got playlists on everything from Electroculture to Tartarian,
private chat, and I will bring it up. And sorry for interrupting. Please continue. And we got to show this.
Cool. Yeah. Because I really think that like the more we can come together and gather together as a community and share these ideas and concepts and information, we're going to touch more people, and more people are going to wake up to what, that the fact that history is not perfect, by any means. And that, and something real quick before I go, we're talking about earlier was the highly mineralized water and salt water, right? That would cover all these areas within the mud flood. And what I've been studying really hard is the area of Spanish Peaks in Colorado, and then also Shiprock in New Mexico. And they're actually, these 2 points are not far from each other. But the Spanish Peaks area, if you look at Spanish Peak from Google, it looks like a medicine wheel of walls going out. And so the same thing with Shiprock. It looks like it was like some big castle in the center with all these walls going out, and these walls are super high. And it looks as if, the geologists say that it is, a lot of it is quartzite in the center. So, it got quartzite is obviously, petrified material. So anyway, just something to check out. I think that similar to the star forts, there were areas where they built these. I mean, these things are like 2-3 stories tall or longer, and some of these walls go for like 5 or 6 miles or more. And then the one called that goes down through Stonewall, Colorado, that literally goes all the way from Canada to Mexico. And you see all these portions of walls all over the place, and then you see all this silt and stuff that has come up against them from obvious mud floods. So anyway, just something to ponder, something I wanted to throw at BurnEye, because I think this coincides with some of the stuff that he's looking into with the geoglyphs and stuff, because literally right outside of Stonewall, there's a huge geoglyph right there of a Native American's head and a little bear head. In that area. So anyway, check out my channel. I've got a couple videos on that, but please, everybody, go join the founders.life, and let's keep the conversations going on these topics.
Can you pretty please put the link in the private chat right now, and I will post it in the live chat for everyone.
Yeah, I'll do it right now. Yep. Thanks.
Thank you. As well
Yeah,
as
yeah,
the link to your channel, please.
Yeah.
All your links before you go. You got to post
Okay, man.
them.
Yeah. So here's here's the Founders Life link. I'll drop that in. It's thefounders.life. For those listening. And there's that one. And then my YouTube channel is Anteluvean America, just like the name.
Why can I not find? Oh, there we go. There we go. My computer's just slow. And boom. There we go. Oh my god. What? Stupid twitchiness of my fingers. Hey, I did get it right. Okay. Here we go. And
awesome.
On the Facebooks, on the Twitch, on the Twitter, on the YouTubes. It's posted everywhere now, as well of course. Make sure you go subscribe to William at Antediluvian American on YouTube as well. America, sorry. Here we go. There it is. Kaboom. I spelled it right. That's right.
Yeah, right on. All right, guys. Peace out. Look forward to talking to you all again soon.
For
Great
sure.
talking to
Much
you, Will.
love.
Nice to meet you.
Thank
Take
you.
All right. Peace.
care. Thanks a lot.
Have a blessed rest of your weekend. And I will make sure myself to click on that link on the founders.life and we'll create an
Do you have
account.
a YouTube handy? You can post his YouTube channel too? Or somebody could do that? Oh, you did. Thank you.
Yes,
You did.
I definitely did. You gotta go subscribe.
And I already subscribed to Founders, so get your butts over there. I'm big on the community discussion too. I've talked about the idea of a PMI or PMA a lot, and that my big thing is it takes a village. I feel like in some format, even if we end up forming smaller communities, this is something that we should be trying to do. I mean, what if we could all have a research facility that we could all come and spend time at, that you could put in a little bit of money and ahead of time while we're building or for part of the build, but then that money isn't something you have to pay to come back in to use our facilities, and that's something on top of the research facility, because I want to do research with healing methods, but to have an actual healing and wellness center where there are people who are been doing these practices for a long time that can teach you how to do it yourself so that you can be independent. And this isn't about, trying to make money. Anyway, I think we should be having this discussion more.
More collectives, 100%. And Health and Wellness Center is a great place and way and topic to start.
I think we're going to start one in Oregon so we can do psilocybin because it's legal here. So, and I'm actually going to start the process and do my application to become a facilitator. So come on down and I'll take you for a ride.
Heck yeah, sister. I like it. And well, there's gonna be the weekend at BurnEye's Getaway Music Festival eventually, and that'll be another psilocybin psychedelic adventure.
I got the speakers for that. They're 4x4 and they have lighted platforms on top so you can dance on them, and they're about 250 watts. They're made for concerts, so nice and
beautiful.
loud.
I think you might be able to find somebody who knows a thing or two about lasers also.
Maybe, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. That might be kind of hard.
Like, look at all of these mountain-topped, terraformed terrace, cities throughout South America and the Andes. And then there's also this throughout South Africa, like Michael Tellinger has documented and shown, and then of course all throughout Asia and Southeast Asia, China, everywhere, the terraced mountain agriculture, and half of it's abandoned.
The terraces are built on contoured in order to collect water from rainfall. That's why it's designed in that fashion. I've studied that completely.
It seems a lot of old world walled cities were terraced like that. Even Quebec City is not only a walled city, but it's got terraces as well. I believe there's 5 that you can see, but there's probably more that have been developed on top of and so on that are kind of hidden now.
You had to be able to defend the food, right?
Very true.
And it was structured water, electroculture on top of it. It's all designed into one.
That last one looked like a bus stop.
Look at that. That right there. Like,
See, I kind of wonder if it's primary water.
that definitely is primary water.
Jeremiah brought up this guy that built a pyramid in Florida, and his pyramid was always flooding, and so was around the land, because from the understanding it was pulling that primary water up. So I wonder if pyramids are kind of built that way. Maybe the River Nile was supplied by the pyramid itself when it was in operation, rather than it being in front of the pyramid. I don't know. It's just a...
You could be right. Like, and how is that not... Like, look at all the black charring, scarring. Like, that was an apartment complex.
I bet you that was gorgeous in its time.
Like...
Oh, yeah, with plants and stuff probably everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And there's just so much evidence of that, those buildings into the rock like that all over the Southwest and Colorado.
That dome structure, was that Celtic?
Which one?
Like, where's that?
So many.
That's insane.
This
one on the side of the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
This is a lift in China.
Wow.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
But look, it's the same red sandstone, and this is the one that has like the crazy like carvings in these giant pillar things. I got to get a better picture of it. Right?
That is really nice.
So this one, apparently they
the
recovered these canals in the 50s or 60s with heavy machinery, but they dug out that they were filled in so that it was an ancient megalithic canal building that they weren't even functioning for hundreds of years. Until,
of course, in modern times, it took heavy machinery to excavate
exactly.
all that. How they do it in ancient times, yeah, incredible. And it seems that the Netherlands and Holland has a lot of those beautiful, fully intact and still with the moats or the water around them, star forts and star cities that are still inhabited. There's villages in them and everything. They're beautiful.
Like the fact that half of humanity just accepts like the narrative, oh yeah, primitive people built this giant underground facility, apartment, dam complex for worship. Like what? No, like that.
Yeah,
like that looks like the remains.
That'd be impossible.
Some sort of functioning dam, power plant, something.
From my understanding, worship came in the 1600s. Before that, it was workship, wasn't it?
Workship, right? The workship at the workshops.
It would be where to live instead of where to, or where to be instead of where to.
Yeah, it's where you got fed, you got your education, so that you had your craft sort of thing.
So this specific architecture and brickwork, stonework, where they have these minarets or whatever the heck these spherical
tourelles.
Yeah, that, right? Like we don't build that anymore, and it's on all of the castles and star forts everywhere.
Can we build that anymore?
Right?
We even see a lot of that sort of thing on what they're calling armory buildings here in Canada and in the US too. You know, pretty much every city had an armory, and we see that type of design.
Yep.
Deactivated Stargate?
I would say.
It was probably like covered
water,
gold, silver, copper, and all sorts of metal sheets and nano transistors and circuitry at one point, I would imagine.
I think the actual carving itself is the circuitry, but you're right. I think it was covered in silver and gold.
As this was, mercury inside of it, and it was covered in not schist,
Mica.
Mica, yes,
looks
mica.
a lot like the bent pyramid.
Yeah.
Completely covered. Yes, good point. It does resemble the angles of the bent pyramid a decent amount.
How much goes beneath the ground, I wonder?
All sorts of tunnels and mercury-filled tunnels they found. We need LiDAR of all of that. Oops.
That's crazy. I love it.
This is the one Indonesian pyramid made with all the basalt blocks. Oh my god, I always get them messed up. The one Graham
or something?
No, that's the island one.
Yangpiang, I believe.
Yes. Say that again,
You know what we
please.
need to do?
Yangpiang, I think.
Yeah,
but my pronunciation could be off because I'm just a Canadian fella, eh?
Just a Canadian, eh?
Yeah, eh?
So, you know,
take off, eh?
So Guy will mispronounce stuff, but that's yeah. You
Welcome, Bob Greener. Hello, good doctor, sir.
Hello.
Good morning,
No
Bob.
doctor, but thank you all the same.
Hello.
Glad to have you. We're going over geopolymer and pyramid technology and structure at the moment.
Very good.
I believe this is a pyramid mountain in the Siberian, Eastern Russian area. There's a whole complex.
Is it really a mountain?
Right? How much it resembles the step pyramids within the Grand Canyon pyramid complex.
Well, where's the expression to move a mountain from?
Good.
I think it's something to do with Muhammad, isn't it?
Right? Because like that to that, that to that, right? And it's like if it was pre-cataclysm,
Maybe a step pyramid that's under a lot of water?
Well, yeah, right. Like that's what I suspect. Like especially for this place, that they would have had it dammed up and like been like a giant lake city sort of thing that they would have been sailing about. Essentially,
oot in a boot on a boat.
Bob, now that we have you though with the geopolymer, have you seen the channel of Paul Cook's work, where he's a fellow United Kingdom citizen as yourself, but he's found that there's this red sandstone they call it, and then this white and red limestone layers they call, that he has found especially throughout the UK, but that they're also in Malta, they're also like in Jordan, where throughout Petra and stuff, and then I suspect it's the exact same stuff as this entire macro structure of the Grand Canyon, but that he claims and is finding evidence that it is all one giant geopolymer layer. And the evidence, especially in the UK and the UK cave systems, that it seemed like they're built leftover complexes and a layer from a past civilization.
I confess I haven't. I can understand how silicon dioxide in the form of sand and calcium carbonate could form an aggregate and binder mix, whether that's natural dissolved from water movement through sand grains carrying calcium carbonate making calcite, or whether it's a deliberate act. I don't know. I think both could occur, and so maybe something.
But now that I think about it, because of how you've shown with like the wind hex and like the theory that they would essentially just grind down the material from on the spot and then remake it as the geopolymer essentially, or cast it very close by, that then they a lot of this could be natural, and then specific areas could be built up or reused or made into
Well,
the
I mean, you could just look at cultures around the world, troglodyte cultures and so on. They take a natural formation and they cut into it, but they then might create facing stones out of chunks of the same material, or possibly to create a geopolymer out of the same material to, you know, produce window frames and door and archways and stuff. But like, it makes much more sense. Like, if I was to go to Mars, I would start by making my homes underground. Firstly, if you can create maybe a plasma-based, HHO-based system to create living accommodation and tunnels and service facilities and factories and stuff, if you could use the system that would vitrify the walls and seal them, and they're underground, you're then able to pressurize those with atmospheric pressure to live. So, you know,
a lot less dangerous than exposed bubbles or domes outside, and then fully
well, I mean, you're not
insulated
having to
from the
create the
harsh
building material.
combustion
It's
conditions.
subtractive manufacturing, isn't it, as it were? And if you can use a technology that might make the material disappear, you don't even have to deal with the waste. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons why you would use that kind of technology. So, but in terms of the geopolymers, I had a thought recently based on a recent presentation that I gave, that the wind hex appears to leave, for instance, metals magnetic, but it also leaves particles free flowing and spheroid. And so I thought that maybe this whole concept around extra relic neutrinos in materials causing the way electrons interact with each other to change on various levels, from, you know, removing van der Waals or Casimir forces all the way through to causing nucleon decay,